Hi, Reject Nation. I'm Greg Alba.
And I'm John.
Did you guys see Mortal Kombat Annihilation? It's the same exact thing as this movie, guys. Let's go into our reasons to see and reasons not to see movie review of Alex Garland's Annihilation. It's for everybody. Reason to see number one, it's truly a sci-fi film. If you watch the trailer for this movie, there's a plot that they present to it that there's some type of meteor-like thing that is an alien thing that sort of crashes at this lighthouse.
Crashes into this lighthouse.
There's this thing called the Shimmer, which is this
like a big
giant bubble.
Yeah.
It's established that for a while now. People have been going in trying to figure out what's going on because this thing is sort of just expanding. Everyone who goes in doesn't come out. The setup of the main character of Natalie Portman's character, she's going on this mission with 4 other women who are all like in the medical field in some way.
Yeah, the conceit is they've done a whole bunch of military exploration and they're gonna try it from the science angle.
Yeah. So when they're going into this this thing called the Shimmer, that's when the adventure begins. Basically, you start to encounter a bunch of craziness, a bunch of sci-fi wonders and whatnot.
Strange mutations.
And we say it's truly a sci-fi film because there's a definite plot to this movie. And that's why I think even if you don't fully grasp everything about this movie, I kind of viewed it like The Matrix. The Matrix is a film that's filled with a lot of philosophies, a lot of themes, a lot of messages and metaphors, all those wonderful things that sci-fi films do. But you're not really going to grasp everything of what's going on. You're not really going to go, oh, I completely understand why this is happening and why what's happening is happening. But there's always a plot to keep you engaged and there's always a plot to keep you on board for what's going on in front of you. I never sat there going, I don't know, I'm not interested at all anymore. Whereas opposed to a film like Mother, Mother's the kind of movie that's really just about its point and there's no real plot to it, which I love that movie, but there's no real plot to it. Here, there's still a plot to keep you engaged, but it really is more about its themes and messages and metaphors.
Yeah, there's a linear unfolding mystery, but so much of the charm is in thinking and feeling it through. And I feel like this really is one of those movies where once you reach the end of it and you've beheld it once as a complete whole, then going back you'll probably get a whole lot more.
Yeah.
You'll probably be able to see so much more and think about it in different ways. From the trailer, it looks like a sci-fi horror of some kind, which it definitely has those elements. Part of the thing that's so cool is that it takes a more stark, whereas like Mother is very much, you can feel Aronofsky's opinion about stuff through that movie, but it's also a very poking you kind of movie, and this one's a little more in the middle, where it's like you see the horror and the beauty all at the same time.
Yeah.
And it's neither good nor bad necessarily. Like that's another layer it peels back on the sci-fi is this thing isn't just hostile, it just is.
The director, Alex Garland, he's been pretty vocal about what he views his film to be about, even in like non-spoiler interviews and stuff. With Alex Garland, what he's talked about is how he really views this film as self-destruction. We actually just read an article from Collider a few minutes ago where they talked about how they think the whole film is actually a metaphor for cancer, and some people view this as a metaphor about marriages. I see more of the cancer metaphors and the self-destruction metaphors,
sure.
And they're a little bit more clear about the self-destruction one. There's like specific dialogue towards it.
Yeah.
But that's not really ruining the unfolding mystery of the film for you guys. If anything, it might actually help with your experience if you're aware of what the theme is going into it.
Yeah, this is one of those movies where there's a lot of stuff that's going to feel random, but the more you pick it apart and the more you immerse into it, the less things are actually random. And that's a good thing for a sci-fi film especially, because there is so much that comes out that's just neat or weird.
Yeah.
And this movie is definitely weird, and once you get pretty deep into it, it does some...
It's all calculated.
Yeah, totally. And I appreciate, again, from Alex Garland especially, like, he seems like he really puts the time into making these even, these at least his 2 directorial films now. Reason to see number 2, directing, cinematography, and design.
Yeah, all 3 kind of go hand in hand with this movie too. I might even throw in some like
movie.
Sound design in there as well, actually. The directing of Alex Garland, if you've seen Ex Machina, it's even on a bigger scale here. This is technically a much bigger film than something like Ex Machina, but it still feels contained. It doesn't feel overdone. It doesn't feel overproduced.
Realistic in the way that they handle just the action of everything.
Yeah.
Very along for this trip.
And the designs of everything were so beautiful. It seems like they shot most of this on location. I didn't feel green screen when I was watching this. It had like an arc-like stories afterwards and like specific sets that were indoors. I was like, oh, they actually built that.
Yeah. And they enhanced it. But...
I thought it was just all green screen, but they actually built it. One thing about this movie too that I think Alex Garland's great at is he's really good at tone and atmosphere.
Yeah.
And that's something that he nails down here.
Yeah.
It's not exactly a slow movie, but it's not exactly a fast-paced movie either.
Deliberate.
Yeah, it's deliberate. It takes its time, and it's the kind of movie that should take its time. And he also wrote the film too, so it goes without saying that like the script is pretty solid as well. It's a thick film with a lot of themes on its mind. They also managed to give you the cool side of sci-fi as well. Like, because when there is the horror thriller stuff, it's not really here in the movie, but when it's there, you remember it. When it's there, it's suspenseful. Everything it's so specific. So when there's thrills, it's thrilling. When it wants to take its time and be more of an emotional piece, it's really emotional.
Feels very lived in. The ensemble gets along really well, and yeah, just some of the imagination. Like I've heard the word unfilmable tossed around with the book. They really captured some stuff that by the end of it blew me away in terms of how they visualized everything.
Yeah.
How everything feels very real, feels like it's on location. Some of those creatures you see in the trailer are actual animatronics and stuff. But when you get to the end, there's some effects work that blew me away. And just the way that they visualize these completely abstract, strange phenomena. It's really impressive on that level too as a sci-fi film and as a visual depiction of sci-fi themes, of these visual metaphors and stuff. Because we didn't mention it before, the music is really cool. It's such an atmospheric movie. So
it hops back and forth between a scary ass orchestra type of score and then a cool guitar picking kind of score.
And then occasionally like just weird, inexplicable electronic sounds.
Yeah, some of the music kind of reminded me of T2 at one point. Reason to scene number 3, the cast. I think what made this film especially impressive to me and why I think that this isn't the kind of film you could just write off as something where it's only about themes and messages and metaphors and whatnot is because it's also character driven. That's why I think you can be an audience member who might not fully grasp everything that's going on. There's certainly parts where I was like, okay, I gotta look this up. Like right when the credits roll, I was like, I went onto my phone, like there's some stuff I just don't fully get. Yeah. I wasn't ever bored. I was
always affected.
A big part of that too is because of Natalie Portman's character, especially. Every character in here, all the girls, the women in here, and Oscar Isaac included, they're all specific characters. They all have motivations. They all have goals. They all have a reason to be there. Their dialogue is very specifically tuned to who they are. And Natalie Portman has a whole arc here, has a whole journey. Here, you get all the points in the sci-fi heady stuff, but you also get a character piece at the same time.
It's not a movie that feeds you character development. There are some flashbacks here and there, but it's not like, here's an info dump about this person's life and that person's life. A lot of it comes out of their mannerisms and their interactions with each other and the subtleties of what each of them is dealing with and their own destructive tendencies and whatnot. And that's another thing that's kind of beautiful is just this cast really shines in this movie. Reasons not to see. It's just not for everybody.
I see this as one of those films that's more of a film that if you're like a movie buff or a cinephile or loves those artsy pieces.
If you like weird shit.
Yeah, you'll like this. But if you saw the trailer and the trailer alone and that's what you're going off into this movie for, I could see why you'd have a hard time being on board with it. As a matter of fact, I saw one person leave the theater and there was a couple next to us who left the movie halfway through. Like you heard their discussion of them just going, you're enjoying this? We got to get out of here.
If you're not enjoying this, we can leave.
I was talking with John when the movie was done. I was like, man, I could have used at least one character to be like, English, please.
Yeah,
that one guy who just doesn't understand science lingo.
In English, please.
If you're expecting this to be Alien but in a bubble, you know, with weird, messed up bear creatures, that character is not here.
There's not going to be that character, so that way you can get it expositionally explained to you and in terms that a person who doesn't really know science and whatever will be able to really grasp. Yeah. Because there were a couple times where I was like, whoa, I kind of wish that character was here for a second.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it is a bit thick, and there are characters. They're all scientists for the most part, so there are times when they are just using science jargon. Go look it up. But yeah, I mean, this is one of those where I can definitely see people being upset based off that trailer because it does set you up for a creature feature of some kind, something that looks like it's going to be full of a different kind of intrigue, a more plot-based, immediate sort of gimme intrigue. And like there is that stuff. There are creepy creatures and there are uncanny, weird, unsettling things, but they are just, it's not
about that. Yeah, it's not about, you don't walk away talking about
it's not
those
about
things.
money shots.
Yeah,
you know?
You don't walk away talking about those things. You walk away thinking about what the movie's about, dissecting and interpreting what's going on. And the thing is, it's one of those films that really challenges your intellectual side. It's not like the fun, let's grab popcorn and drinks entertaining experience that you're probably hoping for in February.
Yeah, it has all that stuff, and it will reward you for, you know, meeting meeting
Yeah.
it where it wants to be.
This is for a patient moviegoer who will take the time to really try to dissect what's going on.
Yeah, for sure.
I really don't know where I stand on terms of liking or loving this movie. I would definitely say that this film has many multiple reasons to go watch this film. I'll watch it a second time. I'll see how I feel the second time I watch it. Because it's not one of those movies where I can just fully grasp everything that's going on the first time I check it out. Overall, I'd say that if you like good sci-fi, if you prefer the kind of sci-fi that's really about challenging your intellectual side and really exploring themes of humanity and whatnot, this is the kind of film for you. But if you're just going in for thrills, it's definitely not the film for you.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta say, everything in this pretty much worked for me, and it's been a while since I walked out of a movie and thought, I really want to go see that again, not just because I had fun or something, but because I want to see how this blossoms outward from my first experience. On the visual standpoint, on the acting standpoint, if you're just a fan of good films, all the physical elements are there to satisfy you, and if you like stuff that's a bit out there, a bit strange, and that isn't gonna just tie it up super nicely for you, definitely give this a shot. Yeah. For me, this movie is firing on all cylinders, and it's a treat to get this kind of sci-fi.
All right, y'all, did you see Annihilation? Did you like it? Did you read the book and hated this interpretation? Did you see the trailer and hated this movie? Was it more than you expected? Just give us your freaking opinion on the movie. Subscribe to The Real Rejects. Click that notification bell to get notified every time one of our videos is up. And check us out on Patreon. Full-length TV show, music video reactions over there, weekly Q&As, a whole bunch of goodies. Go check it out.